Chris Ship has once again exposed the worst instincts of the British media. At a moment that should have celebrated Eugene Levy, his humour, his legacy, and his ability to share a human exchange with Prince William, the headlines were poisoned by a familiar pattern. Instead of focusing on the actor, instead of drawing out something genuine from William, instead of honouring the cultural moment of a comedic legend meeting royalty, Ship chose the cheap path. He asked whether Eugene Levy had been told not to mention Prince Harry and Meghan Sussex during the interview. It was not an innocent question. It was not a brave attempt at journalism. It was the purest example of clickbait, dragging Harry and Meghan's names into a situation where they did not belong, simply because those names guarantee traffic. It is a disease that has taken over royal reporting. No matter what happens, no matter who speaks, no matter what event takes place, the reflex is always the same. Mention Harry, mention Meghan, stir the pot, and feed the cycle of outrage. British royal correspondents know very well that the Sussexes have global attention. Their names spark conversation everywhere, from America to Africa, from Canada to the Caribbean. Every story with them attached is amplified, analysed, and monetised. And so, when William sits down with Eugene Levy, Ship cannot resist. He does not let Levy shine. He does not let William stand on his own. He reaches for the Sussexes, hoping to create the illusion of scandal. The absurdity is staggering. Eugene Levy is one of the most respected comedic actors in the world. His work has shaped generations. From the slapstick of American Pie to the quiet genius of Schitt's Creek, Levy has proven himself again and again. For him to sit in a room with Prince William is itself a cultural moment worth covering. Yet what will be remembered? Not Levy's charm, not William's attempt at humour, not the moment of connection. No, what will be remembered is the cheap question about Harry and Meghan. And that is entirely the fault of Chris Ship. This is not about curiosity. It is not about context. It is about addiction. The British press is addicted to Harry and Meghan. They cannot cover a royal story without invoking them. They cannot let them live in peace, even after the couple walked away from royal life, crossed an ocean, and built their own careers, their own projects, their own family life. Harry and Meghan are supposed to be irrelevant, if you believe the rhetoric of the tabloids. And yet those same tabloids cannot let a single day pass without invoking them. They are supposedly finished, but their names are still the currency of British royal reporting. That is why Ship asked his question. It was not about Levy. It was about clicks. And the irony is brutal. The same reporters who complain that Harry and Meghan are attention-seeking cannot stop using them for attention. The same voices who scold Harry for speaking his truth in interviews cannot stop referencing him to prop up William's interviews. The hypocrisy is so glaring that it would be laughable if it were not so damaging. Chris Ship's question revealed the double standard in its clearest form. Harry is constantly criticised, but his name is constantly needed. Meghan is constantly smeared, but her image is constantly used to sell papers. The entire structure of British royal journalism depends on the very couple it pretends to despise. It is also disrespectful to Eugene Levy. Why should he be forced into the toxic swamp of British royal family drama? He did not sit down with William to talk about Harry and Meghan. He sat down to have a moment of conversation, a piece of culture, a meeting of worlds. But instead of honouring that, the headlines turned him into a prop in the endless Sussex versus Windsor narrative. It was unfair. It was dishonest. It was lazy journalism at its most predictable. And let us be clear, Chris Ship is not a rookie. He knows exactly what he is doing. He presents himself as serious, as thoughtful, as authoritative. But he has chosen the tabloid path again and again. Injecting Harry and Meghan into the Levy-William interview was not an accident. It was deliberate. It was planned. It was the move of someone who understands that his job security depends less on integrity and more on manipulation. The story needed a spark, and so he reached for the names guaranteed to ignite the internet. But at what cost? Every time reporters like Ship pull this stunt, they remind the world that the British press is incapable of moving on. They show the global audience that William cannot carry a story on his own. They expose the desperation of a system that insists Harry is irrelevant, but cannot function without him. And they deepen the wounds between brothers by framing every public appearance of William as a silent competition with Harry. The press claims to want healing, but its actions ensure division. Around the world, people see through this game. In America, Canada, and beyond, audiences are not fooled. They know Harry and Meghan are thriving on their own terms. They are raising Archie and Lilibet. They are launching projects. They are building foundations. They are living free of the toxic palace machine. They are not begging for attention. It is the press that begs for them. So when Ship drags them into a Levy-William interview, the world does not see brave journalism. It sees desperation. It sees a media industry gasping for relevance, still hooked on the couple who walked away. And this is why trust in the British press is collapsing. People know the difference between real reporting and cheap provocation. They know the difference between asking an honest question and planting a seed for a headline. Chris Ship did not ask about Harry and Meghan out of curiosity. He asked so that he could frame the story later as if their absence was the real issue. He wanted the illusion of controversy. He wanted the headline to scream, "Were Harry and Meghan banned from Levy's William interview?" That is not journalism. That is manipulation. That is bait. Eugene Levy deserved better. William deserved better, even if he benefits from the press's obsession with his brother. And Harry and Meghan certainly deserved better, because once again their names were used without their consent, dragged into a situation they had nothing to do with. This cycle is not sustainable. The press cannot continue to claim moral authority while behaving in this way. The addiction to Sussex headlines will be the downfall of royal reporting. In the end, Chris Ship revealed a truth he probably did not intend to reveal. The Sussexes do not need the British media, but the British media desperately needs them. Harry and Meghan have built a life that stands on its own. They are not defined by the palace. They are not defined by William. They are not defined by the tabloids. But William's interviews, without fail, are defined by them. His coverage always circles back to Harry. His headlines always find their way to Meghan. It is the great irony of modern royal reporting. The couple who left are still the centre of gravity. Chris Ship's name will be remembered not for journalistic brilliance, not for groundbreaking insight, but for this pattern of cheapness. He is the reporter who could not let Eugene Levy have his moment. He is the reporter who dragged Harry and Meghan into a room they were not in. He is the reporter who showed the world that clickbait rules over integrity. And in doing so, he once again proved why Harry and Meghan were right to leave that system behind. Until the British press breaks its obsession, every royal headline will remain poisoned. Until reporters like Chris Ship choose truth over bait, every interview will be overshadowed. And until Harry and Meghan are finally left out of stories they have nothing to do with, the world will continue to see British royal reporting for what it is: desperate, shallow, and utterly dependent on the very people it pretends to hate. And so, as the dust settles from this latest spectacle, one fact shines through brighter than all the manufactured noise. Chris Ship did not just fail Eugene Levy, he failed journalism itself. Instead of celebrating an accomplished actor who has brought laughter and light to millions, instead of analysing Prince William's attempt at connection, Ship decided to reach for the names that have been his lifeline for years: Harry and Meghan. In doing so, he reminded the world that the British press has no real story to tell without the Sussexes. They can smear them, mock them, diminish them, but they cannot survive without them. This moment was supposed to belong to Eugene Levy. It was supposed to be remembered as one of those rare intersections between royalty and popular culture, the kind of moment that sparks curiosity and even a little joy. But Chris Ship could not let it be that. He dragged it into the swamp of Sussex-related headlines, ensuring that the spotlight would once again tilt away from where it belonged. And this is the greatest tragedy of all: not just that Harry and Meghan's names were used unfairly, but that the event itself was denied the dignity it deserved. The irony is that Harry and Meghan have moved on. They are raising Archie and Lilibet in peace. They are creating, building, and shaping their future with purpose. They are not chasing the palace, nor are they haunted by the desperate attempts of royal reporters to keep them tethered to stories that have nothing to do with them. The only people who refuse to let go are the Chris ships of the world, journalists whose careers depend on recycling the same names, the same feuds, the same manufactured conflicts, over and over again. What Ship has proven, perhaps more than anything else, is that the British media's obsession with Harry and Meghan has nothing to do with relevance or importance. It is about survival. The tabloids and royal correspondents cannot thrive without invoking the Sussexes. William alone is not enough. Charles alone is not enough. The institution alone is not enough. The engine only runs when Harry and Meghan's names are thrown into the gears. And that is why, even in an interview where they were not present, not mentioned and not needed, their names were forced into the conversation. But here is the truth. Ship cannot silence. Harry and Meghan are free. They owe the British press nothing. They owe the palace nothing. They owe Chris Ship nothing. Their lives, their work and their future are not defined by the toxic spin of a desperate media machine. Ship may have hijacked Levy's interview, but he cannot hijack the truth. The world sees what happened. The world knows who is addicted, who is obsessed, and who is exploiting. And in the end, the legacy of this moment will not be William's words or Levy's charm, but the exposure of a journalist who chose clickbait over integrity. That is Chris Ship's burden to carry. Harry and Meghan, meanwhile, walk on free, untouched, unbothered, and forever beyond the reach of the tabloid chains they broke long ago. To all my curious Sussex family, thank you all for watching, and do not forget to subscribe, like, and put a comment bye-bye. See you then in our comment section.